Hey everybody, Jim from Jim's Holiest and Coleus. All right, so it's Friday. I'm gonna try tomorrow to get some Coleus potted. So it really depends on the weather. It's supposed to rain. I was gonna do it earlier today. Actually, before I get into it, I just wanted to show you this is my Corvette. I bought this a little over 20 years ago. It'll actually be 21 years ago in June that I bought this for myself off the original owner, and I've restored it over the years, put a lot of hard work into it, and it's my pride and joy. I enjoy car shows and cruising, and I'm gonna let my son drive it to his prom in the next month or so. It's gonna be his car anyway. I trust him. We've been driving it for a few years now, and I'm gonna but it's not gonna stay at the prom. I'm gonna drive it back home. It's not gonna sit in a parking lot. It never stays unattended. But anyway, this is my Corvette. It's one of the fun things I do when I'm not in the greenhouse or at work. But anyway, back to the Coleus. Today it's been very windy. It's not warm. There's a very chilly wind today, so it's not an ideal day for me to pot Coleus. So I'm gonna see about tomorrow. If I can do it some tomorrow, I'm gonna do it. I wanted to put some of my Coleus in the planters, as I'll show you now. So here's that Lord Voldemort that I put in, that one rooting last week, and it's doing fine. So that's my green light to put the rest of them in. So I'm gonna have 3 or 4 Lord Voldemort cuttings that are gonna go in this pot, and that'll be my Lord Voldemort Coleus. And I have some other pots here and here. Here's a plant from last year. So I haven't really decided which plants to go in there. It's going to be a combination of my rootings and some plants that I have in my greenhouse. There's another little tin bucket. This thing, I think this is going to be the last year for this. I've had this so many years and it's starting to rot. I can't even really move it. But I always put a little mini Kong in here, and it grows like mad. It does really well. So see, maybe we'll do something similar. And of course my concrete planters, and here is the one that really does well. It's near the Rose of Sharon, gets dappled sun and shade during the mornings, and as the day progresses into the evening, as we're at now, it's about 5 p.m. it gets sun in the afternoon. So this is a really good pot, and all of the Coleus that I put in here do really, really well, as you can see here. So these pots I take great care of. They're very expensive, and I cover them up in the winter. I actually bought 2 bird of paradise about 20 years ago, and unfortunately these were in my house, and unfortunately my cat decided to use it as a litter box and killed my bird of paradise. I tried everything I could to keep my cat from going in there, pepper, everything, but she just by nature of urinating in the soil, it killed both of the bird of paradises. So I decided to put them out here, but that's fine. They serve a great purpose here. I grow fabulous Coleus through, and they do drain. They do have a hole in the bottom, and I did put stone on the bottom, so I don't get any root rot. No matter how much rain or water I put in here, it always drains, and I never get root rot. The Coleus that I plant in these planters do great, as you can see, year after year. All right, so here's a nice shot of my Corvette. So we're just letting it cool off a little before I put it back in the garage. So I keep myself pretty busy. I try to organize I have to be organized, otherwise I wouldn't be able to do everything at once. Work, house, my Coleus, YouTube, Instagram, emails, answering people's questions. It takes up a lot of my time, which I don't mind. So, but I enjoy my Corvette, and she's a beauty. She's a beauty. So, okay. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pot these two. So I have 3 Lord Voldemort. So I'm going to risk it. Well, I'm not really risking it. I put this one in again a few 3 or 4 days ago, and it's doing fine. And it went through one night. It was about 45, 46 degrees, and it did fine. So it's sort of been hardened already. And these were outside last year, even though they're cuttings. So, but anyway, we're going to plant these other 2. As you can see, it's very, it's all stem. Now, last year, I had the exact same thing happen, and eventually, growth will start to form. You'll see the little leaves come out from the nodes, and these will all fill in. But by mid-July or so, this should be well on its way, so stay tuned here. Actually, here's a perfect example. You can see that growth coming in. This is a really healthy, but it's a long Coleus. So what do? How far can you bury it? You see that dark? Here we go. I'm going to bury it that far down. And you can see there's roots coming out of here. So you can bury, if you have a very leggy, even a germination, if you have a germination that's very leggy and you're going to transplant it, you can bury the stem down further to make it less leggy. So this is going to go, but that's why I chose this deep pot, because I want these. That's an extensive root ball. So we're going to put this down pretty deep, and it'll do just fine. Okay, so what we have, we decided to put them, we have it at 12. It's all relative, it's round, so 12, say 8 o'clock. So we're going to dig a nice deep hole. You can smell that rich soil. Now I'm not putting any fertilizer down here because I don't want it touching the roots, because it may burn it. So I do not put the fertilizer in the hole down where the roots are going to touch. Just put it down. Now I want to get it as relatively as deep as the other one, but this is a really tall rooting. I'm going to go with that and just fill it in. Now, Bob Ross always used to say there's no mistakes in nature. There's no perfect in nature. Every tree's different. Yeah, I want it pretty straight, but I want to give it some room here. So I'm going to plant the next one and then give them some water. Okay. And there we go. Now what I'm going to do is get 2. Really healthy. And again, if you're new to my channel, or you're new to cuttings rooting, these were from the mother plant last year. I cut in October, and I kept them going all fall and winter and spring now by frequently changing the water and gently rinsing the root ball. Look how healthy that is. Don't worry about there's no growth here. That's going to come in. It's just the nature of the beast with this. There we go. Fill that in. Again, no fertilizer in touching the roots. We don't want to burn the roots really. Okay. Now I got my my worm castings. Now I learn from you people. When I say you people, I mean that respectfully. From my followers, I learned some things. I try to read up on things, and some things you read up on are not necessarily true, and that's the internet, unfortunately. But my friend Brooklyn, very helpful, advises you when you use worm castings not to put it directly on the root system. Just sprinkle a little around the top of the plant, just a handful, and that's it. And thank you, Brooklyn. So especially with the tender Coleus, when you're transplanting your Coleus, so do not put worm castings in the hole that you're going to be planting your germinations, because even though it says online that it's safe, it could be a little harsh for your roots. So we're just going to sprinkle it on the top of the soil, and I'm just going to give it a shot of time release fertilizer. I'm not worried about this because later on, once this thing starts to get established, we're going to hit it with Miracle Grow fertilizer in the liquid form, but we'll get ahead. So, okay. Still going to adjust a little bit here, and we're going to give these a good drink. Now, I'm not going to use the water from the vase. There's no need to. But we're going to give them a good drink of water to make sure that the roots down below are going to get the water they need. But I'm not going to go crazy because we're supposed to get rain tomorrow. So that's enough to whet the roots' appetite. So stay tuned and follow along, and you'll see how gorgeous this Lord Voldemort Coleus is going to be in just a month or two. Now, could I bury them deeper? Yes, but these were very, very leggy cuttings. So this is fine, and lots of growth will start to appear. And it won't be too long. Okay, still have, I guess I have other pots. Now this is the pot that this magnificent plant was in. And what this was a repurposed tin that I used to use in my bathroom, that I used to keep finger towels in. And this is actually like a chalkboard, so you can write hello guests, or you can write a little message. And I've used it for over the years, and it was time. So I drilled holes, I repurposed it, and it makes a great planter. And this giant Coleus grew in this pot last year. It's amazing. Okay, now look at this fabulous plant. This is beautiful. Now this is also a repurposed pot, and it's really it was a Christmas gift. It was a bunch of wine that we got as a Christmas gift, so I repurposed it. Now 'tis the season to be jolly with lots of Coleus. So I drilled holes on the bottom, and it's actually galvanized. So we'll be using it, obviously. I repurposed it for a planter. Now I was going to put some Coleus in here, but I went to a nursery and I saw these. I planted a bunch of begonias and patience and so forth, and I saw these, and I'm like, yep. And I remembered this pot, and I'm like, you know what, we're going to put flowers in this year. Calabracoa. mini pink Hawaiian Calabrachia. And they like sun. Obviously they're flowers, but they say they need full sun, which is what they're getting. But aren't they beautiful? And you got to deadhead them when you see some die. That's how you keep your flowers coming in. Deadhead. Once you start seeing them dead, pinch them, and that'll promote more and more flowers. And then eventually I'm going to get some Miracle Grow Bloom Booster, and we'll start feeding that, but not quite yet. It's still a little young, but we'll switch over. It's got time release fertilizer, but we'll start to switch over to the Bloom Booster, and we'll get this thing rocking and rolling. Okay, because of the weather, I'm not gonna. What I normally do when I create my pots is I set up my awning, put my tables out, and I bring all of my Coleus out. I go over all of them, trim what I need, and then look at them, look at my pots, and I decided, okay, this one looks good for this pot, that one looks good for this pot, so forth. But it's too windy, it's a little too chilly. No, not gonna rush. As much as I want to do it now, doesn't need to be done now. However, before we go, we're gonna go into the greenhouse. Things really have progressed nicely. The Coleus that I had some damage to are all recovered. Whether it was the wind or burning from the wind or burning from the worm castings, I don't know. I'm tending to lean on a little of both, but I believe it's from the wind because it's happened in the past. Anyway, I trimmed all the burned leaves. They're watered. They've gotten a lot of sun and warmth over the past couple of weeks. They really are looking good. So enough talk. Let's go inside and take a look at these beautiful Coleus. Really excited. Every year I'm like, oh, these are so beautiful. The colors are so beautiful. And every year things just get better and better. So let's go inside and take a look at these beautiful Coleus. And stay tuned, because another week or so, unless tomorrow is completely off the charts and they're wrong about the weather, which is possible, but I don't expect to be potting up Coleus this weekend. So okay, let's head into the greenhouse. We'll show you these beautiful Coleus. Now look who's here. Maximus is in his favorite spot, and he's watching out for the rabbits. But unfortunately, a black cat stands out like a sore thumb. So you can see he's just waiting for the rabbits, and they run. All right, so I have a few pepper plants out here getting sun. And I just removed the fan. Very breezy today. I didn't really need the fan, but I had it on very light towards the back. Now, just looking back at years past, I definitely grew a little bit less. I think in the past I've grown more closer to 650 Coleus. I have about, I want to say, close to 500 maybe. But you remember now, they're 2 to a pot. So everything you see here is double. And they're still small, but you could see that the growth has really taken off. The damage, what little damage is left, and again, don't get upset if you have 1 or 2 that don't do too well. There's a fishnet. I don't know if it's a fishnet. It's got the red on the bottom, so we're gonna. I'm really not sure yet on that. So we're gonna wait. I'm thinking it's a colossal marble, perhaps. There's some crimson golds, the reds. We'll get to the Rosy Dawn order. Colossal. Those are mosaics, Kongs. That's a crimson gold, scarlet Kong. What is that? Green with the black and the red. Kong Reds. Kong Reds have the green, the black, and the red. They may have a little white, but beautiful. That is going to be an awesome Coleus. And I have a whole bunch of those. Here's another one. See how it's a little different? They're always going to be a little different. Here's a rustic, but it has a little pink in there. I get a lot of airplane action. I get a lot of military, helicopters, National Guard, Air Force jets, always flying over. Here's a fishnet, but see it has a little color, but that's beautiful. Scarlet Kong, got a lot of Scarlet Kongs. That's not really a Scarlet Kong because it has the red. Scarlet Kongs are generally the green, they're Kongs, but they have the green and the dark purple, and the dark purple takes up a majority of the leaf surface, and you'll get an edge of the green. But it's beautiful. You can see these are really coming in. Let's go over to the next rack. Okay, now earlier today, after I got my 2 hours of sleep after working last night and the night before, I came in and I decided to mix things up a little now. These are the tender Wizard Rose Kongs. Not really watermelons, they're Wizard Rose Kongs. And these are the ones that have been very slow. And as you can see, they're not slow any longer. They've really filled in nicely. Now they've been down here because I wasn't sure how they were going to react to the sun. And they generally, based on my experience, didn't do well out in the bright sun right away. So I had them down here and they did pretty well. But they're stronger now. They're a good size. I wanted to give them a little bit more light today. So when I say we, I mean me. I put them up top here to give them a little more sun. And that's how I maintain my Coleus right now. I switch them, I turn them, I move them from one rack to another, and just to give them all a little bit of different aspect of light. There's a jitters, colossal marble, got a lot of jitters. I have a small amount of variety of Coleus because there's hundreds and hundreds of Coleus, but I grow non-patented, legal to propagate Coleus that are really my favorites and majority favorites of people at the farmers market. So and also I will separate certain ones and harvest the seeds for my eBay store or my eBay listing. Again, if you're new here, starting in October, again, it'll be my 3rd season. Jot it down, keep it. I have one item listed. It's Jim's Coleus on eBay. I will start selling the seeds to these Coleus individually marked that you can buy, so you can plant these gorgeous plants yourself. And there are hundreds and hundreds of people that bought seeds from me, and I have a perfect 100% approval feedback. Everybody raves that their Coleus are beautiful just like this. I get videos, pictures of not all, but people send me videos and pictures of their Coleus from the seeds that I sold them, and they look just as fabulous as this. And you can do that if you choose to grow Coleus from seed. So mark that down. End of September, October, I'll be listing my Coleus seeds. It's Jim's Coleus on eBay. Okay, so let's get back to business. Beautiful color. And again, they really, at this point, it's watering. They have the fertilizer mixed in. I'm not doing much else. I will do a little bit of trimming if I see something, maybe a leaf down below. If I see a lot of growth coming in the bottom, I may cut these too. You can trim at this size. There's nothing wrong with that. If I see a plant that maybe a leaf is pushing, getting in the way of another as they grow, everyone's a little different, then I'll trim that leaf. See, this one's kind of getting squashed away. I can trim that. But at this point, I'm pretty much, I'm letting them develop still. And that's another reason why I'm not terribly upset about not being able to pot today, because they're a good size, but you know what? I can wait a week, and they'll only be stronger, and they'll be more settled in. Their roots will be more acclimated to the pot and anchored in, and it makes creating pots easier, as opposed to maybe doing this too soon and then you pull the plant out and the roots are kind of, they fall apart because the roots haven't really set in with the soil. So how about that? You know, I can go on for hours, folks, but I don't like to make my videos too long. And there you go, there's a mix. Is that beautiful? That's sort of a scarlet, but I don't want to say it is because it has more of the green. It's really, it may develop more into a Kong red, but they do mutate a little bit. You see here, I have some white and that pink and black, and your Kong reds can have a little white, but those are amongst my favorites. They're magnificent. They're great potted Coleus. So let me show you a couple of the hanging baskets. Okay, so for purposes of the video, I put the hanging baskets on the floor. In general, I keep a lot of the Coleus out on the floor like this, these bigger pots, because they do very well. Over the years, the Coleus that I place in pots do very well here. So I started this one, and this is going to be a fabulous Coleus. There's that overwintered colossal marble, and that's having a little trouble. I don't know what's going on with it. I may repot it. So we're just watching. It's alive, but it's, you know. And here are the two hanging baskets. They don't look like much now, but it won't be long until they really explode. Now you can argue, I don't know what happened here. Whoops. This one perhaps should have been a little closer over here, but I'm not going to mess with it. It'll fill in. I think I was sort of thinking this here, because these generally really grow a lot heavier and spread out, so I'll give them a little more room here. And these colossal marbles generally grow a little higher, and of course that jitters with that almost with some of the Kong red action going. There's a mosaic and another Kong, more of like a Kong rose, wizard rose rather, and another jitters. I always put jitters in hanging baskets, so this is going to be a fabulous Coleus. This will be in my yard. This will be for me, and this one I'll sell at the farmer's market. Got my pots semi-organized, ready to go. And up here, this is a moon dust, so you can see. And this is a solar. Oh, these are two moon dusts. I ordered two of them, so that's really what the leaf will look like. But you can see I trimmed it, and we got a lot of growth coming in. That's what you want to do. Like these are Rosy Dawn orders. You trim the tops and you let it grow in. There's some Defiance back there, and that's the lime shrimp. That's something new for this year. I never grown one of these. It looks interesting, so I always try to expand. But they look like they're doing pretty well here. So starting to cool off a little. I'm contemplating maybe putting the heater on just to warm it up a bit in here. And more of my Rosy Dawn plants. And a few more of my Rosy Dawns. And again, they were planted and trimmed, and they are filling in. It's just been cool the past couple of days. We had those few days of 80s and humidity and warmth, and that's what jump started all the other Coleus. And then the past few days it's been kind of chilly at night. It's been in the upper 40s, 50s. Little raw. Is a chilly wind coming in off the ocean, so it stalled them a little bit, but they're growing pretty well. I'm very, very happy right now. And now it's just been a couple of weeks and I had all this growth. I have a good month and a half until the farmer's market, so I have no doubt that my plants will be in magnificent shape for potting. Hope this is coming out well for you folks. I really appreciate everybody following along and the kind words. Again, I can go on and on with mentioning all of my friends. Bonnie, you always saying hi. Pat, of course. Mark Hubert over in England, doing really well with your Coleus. Of course, my friend Brooklyn. Sand Sealy. Jesnet from Sweden, I believe. Rico over in Germany. So many people following along here. I'm over 10,000 now, which is really a blessing. I'm at like 10,200, so keep it coming and keep growing, and stay tuned. As soon as I decide on when I'm going to make the pots up, I'll shoot out a quick short to let you guys know when I hope to do it. And before we close, I want to show you one surprise that my neighbor did that is benefiting this greenhouse. Now I'm going to look and see if I have any video or pictures, but there used to be a giant tree here in my neighbor's yard in the back. And it was huge. And in the morning, it would block all the sun coming in, so my greenhouse would not get any sun until later on in the late morning, early afternoon, when the sun, of course in the summer the sun's up higher, but during the winter and early spring and so forth, the sun kind of comes up here and moves across the sky like this. So I didn't get any sun in this greenhouse, but now that he cut this giant tree down, my greenhouse is flooded. From once the sun comes up, it's flooded with sunshine and bright light. So thank you, neighbor, for spending the money on cutting that giant. As much as I don't like to see trees being cut down, it was a really old, sick tree. It really makes a difference in my greenhouse now. You can see in relation to where my greenhouse is what I mean. So right there, the sun would be up, but the tree would have blocked that sun completely, and I would get no light in here. Now it's magnificent. So okay, all right, so everybody have a great weekend. Can't believe it's the weekend already. It was just the weekend, like a day ago. I don't know where time flies. It's just going too fast for me. I don't know. I mean, it was my son's birthday a week ago. Seems like yesterday. We still have cake left over. All right, and my birthday and Mother's Day weekend, here we are. It's Friday night, Saturday. My God, it's going too quick. So, all right, so stay tuned, everybody. Thanks for following along. Hope all your Coleus plants are doing well. Any questions, you know where to find me. Just drop me a message. I get a lot of correspondences. I try to answer everybody, and I scroll through, and there's some notifications that I don't get. I was like, oh yeah, I didn't see this. I feel bad. So if you do send me a note, if you ask a question, I don't get back to you, try Instagram. Instagram is always the best. Message me, join Instagram. It's very easy. It's a nice, simple way to follow along here. But if I don't get back to you, I'm not ignoring you. I just didn't see your notification for some reason. So, but thank you very much, everybody. Thanks for following. Stay tuned. There's lots more to come. Have a good weekend, everyone. Thanks for watching.